Hi, welcome to Live United. My name is Karen Knapp, President, CEO, United Way of St. Lucie County. United Way's mission is to improve lives by mobilizing the caring power of our community. Each year, United Way invests its donated funds in programs and initiatives that help improve people's lives here in St. Lucie County. And each month, I get a chance to interview the wonderful people that work and volunteer at these agencies. And welcome, Elizabeth, Chief.
How you doing, Karen?
Thanks so much for having us.
Nice to have you here. I think it's the first time I've ever had a chance to interview you. But it's wonderful. You are a board member, and I can't tell you how much it means to United Way when people volunteer their time to be board members and to really oversee and govern the agency so that there's accountability, transparency, and the community truly is a part of the decision-making process. Elizabeth, you're new, and I know that you have a lot to say about Children's Home Society, so I'm going to let you begin and tell us a little bit about what you do and a little bit about some of the programs.
Sure. So I'm their Philanthropy Director, and I just started 3 months ago, so new to the organization, but the more I learn about what we're doing here in the local community, the more I fall in love with it. We started in 1902, so this year we're celebrating our 115th year as an organization in Florida, and we started as an orphanage in 1902 and assisting the orphans that came off of the orphan trains into Florida. So we're best known for our adoption program, but since then we've really grown as an organization, and our purpose is to break the generational cycle of child abuse and neglect and making sure that each child reaches their full potential, because each child is born to be successful. So we're here to make sure that that can happen.
Mm-hmm. And Chief, why are you involved? Why are you a board member of this agency?
Children's Home Society has a really special place in my heart. You know, from the other things we're involved with together, that kids are very special to me anyways. It's kind of been where I put my extra energy since I became chief. But the Children's Home Society, I got involved because of the Transitional Living Center and the Transitional Living outreach program. I learned that we had something going on in St. Lucie County that, being a police officer here for over 20 years, I didn't know about, and that was children in high school that were homeless. And a lot of them a lot of that problem comes from aging out of foster care. And they're in foster care, they turn 18, they can no longer be in foster care, and they're still trying to finish high school and get their lives started. And I heard about one particular case, and it really touched my heart, and started looking for a way to get involved. And of course I knew Christy Walsh over at the Wavecrest Shelter, and she took full advantage of my week in state and talked me into being a board member. So here I am.
We're lucky to have you. We really are.
You know, and I have a grandson who's 18 years old right now, and I couldn't imagine him being successful in his future without the support his family gives him. And it's so important. It doesn't stop once they turn 18, and you're saying these kids, they don't have anyone. Yeah. So
this particular case, this young man was couch surfing, so he'd spend a day here, a day there. Friends were taking him in. The teachers were doing his laundry, and he was showering in the gymnasium at school. And you know, everybody was kind of pitching in, but you know, that's my kids had it, you know, pretty good life, and they still struggle during that period in their lives, high school, getting into college. And I just think it's so important.
Right. Let's talk a little bit in depth about the transitional living.
Sure. So that program assists youths between the ages of 18 and 23. So as Chief Bulduc has mentioned, that a lot of 18-year-olds, they're still in high school. They are looking for ways to continue their education, and they're really just not ready to be on their own. So we provide residential and outreach services. So we make sure that if a youth is homeless or couch surfing and they have nowhere else to go, then we are able to provide a residential home for them, a part of our youth transition center that we have in Vero Beach, which covers the whole Treasure Coast.
Right.
And if they feel more comfortable staying in their own community and they have a place to stay, then they become part of our outreach services, where we do provide life skills, easy things like just managing your budget, how to write a resume, just really being that support system, since they don't have a guardian or a family member that they can rely on.
Financial aid application, think about that.
Yes.
Without a little help. You know, just it's there's so many things that young adults still need the support.
And you're there to support them, and that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
What about Wavecrest Shelter? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and that's a temporary shelter. So it's meant for runaway teens between the ages of 10 and 17, or even teens that are struggling at home. So the shelter is really built there. So if parents are struggling with getting their teens to school, or just the teens are being unruly, and instead of creating an environment where child abuse could happen, we then are able to take the child, put them into our shelter, and start to get to the root of the issue on why they are being unruly at home. Is there something going on at home?
And you get the family involved with that, the entire family?
Absolutely. So we check and help the child, but also if we recognize that the family is having issues, we provide guidance and support so that they are equipped with the tools and resources to help raise their child safely.
And we really take advantage of those respite beds, because a lot of times when you have domestic issues in a home, in again, you're talking older teenagers or even some younger kids, having a respite bed that we can diffuse the situation, get the child into a safe environment, and then get the family some counseling, and let our victims advocate work with them, or refer them to other services. Takes away that need to make the arrest, and then when you make an arrest, things usually spiral out of control, either for the youth or for the parents. So it gives us an opportunity to diffuse the situation.
What are some of the causes of child abuse and neglect?
So there really isn't a prescription for child abuse. Really, any child, depending on the family's stressors, could lead to a potential case of child abuse. But there are some indicators like substance abuse, extreme financial stressors. If you have parents that are young that aren't necessarily ready to deal with those stresses with parents, if a child is in that potty training age, 3 and under, there seems to be a lot of stress there. But I'm sure that you would agree with me, Chief, that there really isn't just one indicator. It tends to be different things that add up to builds up to that risk.
One of the factors we look at too, though, and I know the research indicates it is cyclical. So there's, and I don't remember the exact percentage off the top of my head, but if someone is from an abusive home, so if you were abused as a child, the likelihood of you repeating that parenting style is pretty high. And so that's one of the things that we try to do, is identify it early and break that cycle, and that way we won't continue to have future generations. And it's usually education. There's a lot of great parenting classes out there and resources to break the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you use your child protection team?
So our child protection team is a part of the alleged cases. So we help. We don't investigate, but we do provide the medical, physical, and psychological exams for those alleged abuse cases. And in the Treasure Coast last year alone, there were 800 that our child protection team was able to go in and assist, and we were able to partner with the children and families, with law enforcement and state attorneys to make sure that those children, if they were abused, that they were put into a safe place.
And when a child is removed from a home, what happens next?
So we always try to make sure that the child is as comfortable as possible. So If the child is deemed that they are no longer safe to be at home, we then try to look for a family friend where the child would be able to be comfortable and within their familiar surroundings. Mm-hmm. If there isn't anybody available, then sometimes we do utilize our shelter until we can find a foster care family that would be able to take them in.
And speaking of foster care families, what if someone in our viewing audience is interested in learning more about becoming a foster parent? What would you say to them?
I would say it's tough. It is a tough job, but it's a necessary job. And there are two great organizations that we partner with in the Treasure Coast. You have the Camelot Community Care Center and also is it the Place of Hope? I have it written down here.
You got me.
Yes, it's the Place of Hope. So those two organizations are available to help someone who's interested in becoming a foster family. They provide excellent training. And if anybody at home thinks that their neighbor is being abused or they have a family member that's being abused, please don't hesitate. Don't wait to reach out to foster care family. Reach out to the Florida Abuse Hotline, which is 800-96-ABUSE.
So many people think they think that they're going to get into trouble or someone's going to tell if they do report something that they're seeing. So is there a way they can report without being, identified?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. If anybody wants to remain anonymous, they can remain anonymous. Of course, I normally deal with the mandatory reporting requirements. A lot of people don't know that certain professions have come with mandatory reporting requirements when it comes to child abuse, and we use the same number, that 96-ABUSE. And I've also been on the receiving end of the complaints that come in, and I have had anonymous complaints, and law enforcement treats them very credibly, and we go out and do the investigation and make sure that everything's good.
Mm-hmm.
I told you when I sat down, the kids come first.
Yeah, exactly. You use volunteers. I know you have volunteer board, but are there other volunteers you're looking for or can use?
Oh, absolutely. So we really need the community to help us get this awareness out there. So we need ambassadors on the importance of child abuse prevention. We need assistance with our events. We need people who want to mentor. So there are volunteer opportunities available. And really, we're just trying to build our volunteer base and making sure that people are aware that abuse does happen right here in our local community, and we need to prevent it. And the best way to do that is to get the community to fund these programs and services that we're able to provide right here in the Treasure Coast.
Right. And you have 1 minute left. Is there a fundraiser coming out that you can quickly tell us about?
Yeah, and Chief is the chair.
Yeah, so April 22nd at Indian Riverside Park, we're having a 5K run, or if running's not your thing, 1K walk, and also a kids fun run. And then we're going to have all kinds of other activities, family activities. When everybody gets done exercising, we're going to fire up the griddles and do some pancakes. And of course, we're going to have a DJ out there. And what am I forgetting? Rumba warm up before the run.
It'll be a fun day for everybody.
Right, and they can find out more on your website?
Yes.
Which is www.chs5ktc.org.
Yeah, everyone's looking. My daughter's always in somewhere running, so that's very popular now. I want to thank you both for joining us. Our time is up, and I wish you the very best of luck, and United Way is proud that we support you. And we'll be right back.
I'm lucky. Let me help you with that. I get to do something I love. It has nothing to do with touchdowns or titles.
Everybody bring it in.
I get to play a part in the life of someone just starting out.
How many of you think homework is just as important as teamwork?
I help keep kids in school.
Good.
And that's the name of the game.
My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United.
Welcome back to Live United. My name is Karen Knapp, and my visitor now is Lisa von Seelen. Welcome, Lisa. We're going to talk today about Healthy Start and how important it is that babies get that healthy start and how being healthy when they're, before even they're born, and when, as they are born and then they grow, how important those early years are to the success of the child and to their education.
Absolutely. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head exactly, that prior to even being born, prior to even becoming pregnant, the mom's health is really critical, especially for neural tube defects, which can be completely, well, not completely prevented, but substantially prevented by folic acid. So if moms know that they're planning on becoming pregnant, or whether they plan on becoming pregnant or not, because over 50% of pregnancies are unplanned, she should be taking folic acid supplements. So, and they had researchers determined that it's actually critical to be taking that 2 months prior to becoming pregnant, and certainly in the first month. So it's those 2 months prior in the first month of development that really has the impact on the neural tube defects, which are, the development of the brain, development of the spine, and the spinal cord, and everything associated with that. So you talk about brain development and making sure that that baby is born healthy and then able to learn, because all of their majority of the learning actually takes place between 0 to 3, where their brains are making those neural pathway connections, is just absolutely critical to lifelong learning for that child.
So it's best that the mother or the person gets to the doctor or medical care as early as they possibly can when they find out.
Absolutely. Not only is that a huge factor, prenatal care in that first trimester, but really educating girls and women that, again, they need to be taking those vitamins, that folic acid, or getting, and you can't really get enough out of your diet. You would have to be very specific. So really taking a multivitamin that has folic acid in it prior to, well, really at any stage in their life in which they might become pregnant. So,
well, let's talk about some of the programs that you run that help do just that.
Okay. We have, of course, Healthy Start as a entity ensures that there's a system of care in the county that provides just that, all of those services. And that starts, again, pre-birth. So it's starting with teens, preventing teen pregnancy, and we have the Teen Choices program underneath Healthy Start. We have the newborn home visitation funded by United Way, thank you, and Children's Services Council. And that ensures that every single baby that is born in St. Lucie County is offered a home visitation by a nurse. And that nurse goes in, not only checks on the health of the baby and ensuring that there's no concerns, and does a whole wellness check also for the mom. She'll do a home safety inspection if there's something that, if they don't have a fire or smoke detector in the home, we'll help to get that. If they don't have a safe sleep environment, we'll make sure that they get a pack and play and take the classes and get infant CPR. Talk to the mom about the importance of breastfeeding, that also has a tremendous beneficial impact on the baby's health, just from the immune system, from the bonding with mom. It really is one of the best things that you can do for your baby. And even if you only can do it for a short period of time, it's really critical. But if you can do it for a longer period of time, 6 months to a year, that's really ideal, and even past that. So that's another important message that we want to get out to moms. And then we have, of course, the Healthy Start services, which start at any point in the mom's pregnancy or even after birth. So encouraging moms to again, get in for their prenatal visits, seeing moms that screen in. Florida is the only state in the country that has a prenatal statewide screen that all women get screened, and that was thankful to Governor Lawton Chiles, who implemented Healthy Start. We're also the only state in the country that has a statewide Healthy Start. So every mom, when she has her first visit, after she knows she's pregnant or when she finds out she's pregnant, gets that screen. And if she screens in based on risk factors, she is offered Healthy Start services. And she can decline, of course, or accept or self-refer. So even if she's not at risk, but like first-time moms, lots of anxiety about having a baby, what it's going to, be like, what they need to do. Know that we have classes. So many women just can have classes only, and from childbirth education to breastfeeding to parenting classes. We have a variety of those to offer. If they need case management, we will help with that. If they have a high-risk pregnancy, one of the challenges that our moms have locally is the lack of providers, and especially for specialties. So we worked very closely with Dr. Stossel, who is a fetal infant specialist, and he'll co-manage many of these women that have high risks, and so that's been beneficial in ensuring that women can stay local and get their medical care locally versus having to go down to West Palm or even Miami, which is certainly a challenge. And if they have risk factors, they probably are not having transportation or support groups. If they have other children, they don't have family support necessarily to watch those children, so they can go down to those visits. So there's all kinds of barriers that we can help address and that we're charged with by state statute to ensure. We also have Healthy Families under Healthy Start, which is Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Program, and they get referred in again either prior to birth or within that first year, and they can stay and serve that family up to the age of 5 for the identified child. So,
is the new mom able to call your agency throughout the year or
absolutely
for help? So they always have that resources in hand.
They
correct?
do, yep, and that number is 467-2016. That has changed from our care coordination office, so that is our main number. And we are shifting our services to a coordinated intake, and that's going to be happening over the course of the next year with the changes in how our funding has come down from federal funds through ACA. They used to all come through the Department of Health. And now we have our general revenue allocated through the Department of Health, and then the Medicaid dollars are drawn down as a match from the state, and that's through our new Healthy Start Mom Care Network office, actually contracts with ACA.
Yeah, right now in Tallahassee, our leaders are working out the budget. Let's talk about some of the challenges your agency has and how important it is for other people to get involved and to advocate on behalf of these children.
Absolutely. It is session, and there are budgets are being rolled out today, actually, or they were rolled out last week, and there are budget meetings today. We have a $8 million ask that we will not have, we'll have a shortfall of $8 million for this fiscal year. We're asking for that for next fiscal year. So it's a very critical point in time for our legislators and trying to decide what the priorities are. Clearly, education has been a high priority. Mm-hmm. Well, if they're not, able to learn because they didn't get the health care that they needed before they were born, or even after they were born, that's the...
And it causes the school to have more challenges.
Absolutely, which costs more money exponentially. So
exactly.
It's an important time that folks can get involved and let their legislators know that Healthy Start is critically important, because without that, all that other investment is wasted dollars, or not necessarily wasted dollars, but it's going to cost more to have the same impact. If we start early, get a healthy mom, a healthy baby, they'll be ready to learn.
Yeah, you run into other issues, and those issues cost money.
Absolutely.
Right.
As you said, from not being able to learn versus maybe preterm birth, it costs 10 times the amount of a natural birth. So just from that perspective alone, if they're not covered by insurance, or even if they are covered by insurance, we know the challenges that we're facing as a country right now with that. It's again, just exponentially expensive for that newborn who ends up in the NICU or who gets readmitted to the hospital. So if we invest really in that prevention, it's a win-win for all.
Right. So your money comes from the state, federal government, and agencies organizations like United Way. You do have funders, Children's Services Council. I'm sure you look for funding in other ways as well.
We do, and that is one of the great things about having those dollars come down both from federal and state, is that we leverage those dollars. So that $8 million that we are currently asking for is only $3 million out of general revenue and $5 million in Medicaid match, so federal dollars that are matched. Then locally, we are very grateful to have the United Way support that has enabled us to expand our nurse home visitation for newborns that I mentioned earlier, as well as Children's Services Council, because they fund those programs that we can then get our families out to get their needs met and ensure that children aren't abused, that they're properly educated, that they have the nutrition, that they have a safe sleep environment, and that they have every opportunity to reach their full potential. And we couldn't do that without local support, as well as state support, as well as federal dollars. So it really is critical.
And you have many community partners.
We have many, many, many community
Yeah, you
partners.
have to get the word out, so you need those partners, right?
Absolutely. And we don't provide direct services, so to speak, as a Healthy Start Coalition services, Healthy Start services. Those are contracted with providers. So it is the Department of Health as our care coordinators. It is Healthy Families. It is the nurse home visitation. It is helping people succeed in the BRAIN program. So every community provider that works with children, really, we have a partnership with and utilize to ensure that we are getting their needs met and maximizing revenue to ensure that those are happening and there's no duplication of services.
Do you have a fundraiser coming up?
I wish I did. Curly, we're always accepting donations, of course. And again, we've had our challenges with the shift in how our revenue has come down. And working hard to educate our legislators as well as our funders and donors on what we need and what we do. And right now, legislative advocacy is kind of our biggest need. Not that the dollars aren't needed, because certainly we are facing that shortfall, and we're going to have to be looking at how do we make up that shortfall. I actually have a board meeting tomorrow, and that is one of the main focuses, is reinstating a system of fundraising that we haven't had much luck in sustaining at this point. So.
Well, we have 2 minutes left. Is there any issue that you would like to bring up?
Well, again, any advocacy that you can make. We have Senate President Negron in a very powerful position. He represents St. Lucie County as well as Martin. Our Martin County Healthy Start doesn't have a current executive director, so we also need their support and ability to really get that word out. We have so many representatives. We have Representative Gail Hara is the co-chair of the Health Appropriation. Representative Grawl is out of Indian River. She's a new freshman legislator, and she's very supportive of children's programs and understands special needs from her own personal experience. We have Representative Pigman also on the health care appropriation. So if anybody can reach out to them and let them know this is a super important issue, we would greatly appreciate it and go a long way in helping moms and babies be healthy.
So you have all that on your website, so people can go to your website and find out how they can help you, right?
They can go to, yes, our website, see all of our programs, and it has contact information, and we will have legislative advocacy information posted on there by the end of today or early tomorrow morning. So.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we want to thank you for all that you do, and your job is extremely important, to each and every child and each and every adult in this community. And we want to thank you for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck, and let us know what we can do. We want to thank you for joining us. And if you want to become more involved, if you want to donate, you can call the United Way office at 464-5300. Thanks for joining us.